At this point in my life, I'm a 17-year-old senior at Logan County High School. I enjoy playing volleyball and hanging out with my friends. Nothing special, pretty boring, I know. So let's backtrack. Roughly 17 years ago, it all started in the medical center in Bowling Green. A woman by the name of J. Lee Page gave birth to a legend, Micah Page. Well, that's me. And ever since that day, the world's never been the same. Okay, but seriously though, I'm kind of a big deal. You can ask my grandpa. So let's cut to the chase. The first big event in my life was my first visit to the emergency room. So what had happened was I was just a little sweet 3-year-old girl running around the driveway at night while I was looking for my dad. So I called out, "Dad, where are you?" And he replied just kindly, "Just on the other side of the truck, darling." So I took off running and bang! I hit my forehead right on the tailgate. And I still have the scar to tell the story. The next big event was the time I snuck off with my grandma's scissors and gave myself a haircut. I gave myself bangs, and I don't mean regular bangs, but bangs straight across, literally a ½ inch long. My dad found me a couple minutes after the whole incident went down, and he walked me to the mirror, and in a corrective tone says, "Micah, look what you've done to yourself." So I sat there and stared at my reflection, and I said, "It looks kind of goofy, Dad, but I like it." And so for the majority of my childhood, I had bangs, but I rocked them, so it's fine. The next stage of my life, my brother John Mark and I were the responsibility of 2 lovely babysitters, Miss Jean and Miss Angela. We spent many a day eating popsicles and watching Dr. Phil together. And it was all fun and games until one day, Miss Angela was passed out on the couch. Miss Jean, John Mark, and I were all cracking up at the situation, even though John Mark and I were too young and innocent to even know what was really happening. Well, turns out it wasn't orange juice that was in Miss Angela's bottle. And as for Miss Jean, well, she's in prison now for cooking meth. Well, moving right along to the next event in my life, I fell off a jet ski and couldn't move my neck for 2 weeks. So I was enjoying a nice day on Barren River Lake. One second I'm, flying about 70 something on the jet ski. Next second I'm flying across the air. Next second I'm all sorts of discombobulated in the water. I look at my wrist, the key flew off. We have no idea where it is. Thank God it had the flotation device on it. So I swam a couple yards this way, got the key, swam a couple dozen yards this way, got back on the jet ski, rode off. It was fine. Took muscle relaxers for a couple weeks, end of story. Throughout middle school and the beginning of high school, I enjoyed playing basketball and volleyball. Playing for my school as well as multiple travel teams, I had a lot of fun with it. One of my freshman travel volleyball tournaments was in Cincinnati. After a long day of playing 4 or 5 volleyball games, my teammates and I went downtown for some ice cream. Out of nowhere, we hear maracas, drums, and Spanish chanting. We all look to see where the racket's coming from, and we see all kinds of feather boas and sequins. And so naturally, I just take off running towards the commotion. Well, I tripped and fell on a concrete step on the way over there right as I came up on the crowd. And they all turned and looked at me and started laughing at me in Spanish. And I know what you're thinking, like, you can't laugh in a language, but at the time, it sure felt like they were doing just that. What happened next is what I can only describe as being sacrificed to some sort of Hispanic gods and goddesses. They circled around me with their drums and feather boas and kept chanting in Spanish what later got translated to me as, "We want it, girl." Seconds later, I had to rush back to the hotel room because the fact I'm lactose intolerant did not agree with the ice cream. Fast forward a year, I decided I had had it with basketball. So I quit, and I convinced my older brother John Mark to quit as well his senior year. And I jokingly suggested, it'd be funny if we, quit basketball and joined the drama club. Well, it ended up John Mark was Ebenezer Scrooge, and I was Miss Fezziwig in Logan County High School's rendition of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. Well, later that summer, I got the opportunity to take a trip to China, sponsored by Western Kentucky University. In the Shanghai airport, I conducted what I can only describe as somewhat of a pep rally. In the waiting lines, they were leading us through these cattle chute-like lines, to get our passports checked, come back. And so we were all bored, sleep deprived, so I started giving high fives to the people in my group. Well, then as we circled around, I started encountering strangers, so I was like, well, why not? I'll give them high fives too. Well, then it escalated to me shouting ni hao to every stranger I met. And before we knew it, the whole airport was giving each other high fives and yelling ni hao, and everybody was greeting each other in Chinese, which the great majority of people there actually spoke Chinese, so it was pretty entertaining for them. It was awesome. I have plenty of entertaining stories to tell about my lifetime, but I still have no idea where I want to go or what I want to do with my future. Hopefully I'll figure it out somewhere along the way. And even though I have no idea what I want to do, I can assure you it will not be boring.